How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the YouTube channel. Today we're gonna talk about something, I guess, go personal here and just kind of talk about my story and why we're here, why I started this channel. So I celebrated 4 years, and I know it's a heck of a celebration, right? 4 years on Christmas morning when my first attack happened. So just to kind of give you some background, woke up Christmas morning, gonna go have Christmas at my parents' house. I was in my apartment. My feet were tingling, and the best way I can describe that is when your foot falls asleep and that feeling as it's waking up. That's what it felt like. So I remember saying my foot's asleep. I remember standing up on my apartment floor and stomping my feet trying to wake them up, like what the heck is going on. So I went and got my shower, got dressed. It was still tingling, so I was like, okay, I wonder if I pulled something in my back, if I, who knows what. So I drive to my parents. It's still happening, but it's getting worse. Not sure what's going on. So I go home and try to sleep it off, And every time I go to sleep, I'd wake up and it'd be a little bit worse, Over a period of 3 days, it went from my feet up to just under my chest area, where I was having this tingling sensation. I could still walk, still have my strength, but I couldn't feel certain sensations. You run your hands up and down my quad area, thighs, whatever you want to call them, and I couldn't feel it. But I could feel it if it was on my calf. I could feel my foot. I could feel hot and cold. Just couldn't feel some of the touch, and it was very heavy. I think it was probably what they call an MS hug. I've only had one real physical attack, so if I had to guess, I'd say that's probably the MS hug, because it was really tight in my midsection. So anyways, I wait 2 or 3 days, go to the hospital, local hospital here. They can't diagnose me with anything, so then I go to a bigger hospital, which is, specializes in neurology and whatnot. And I remember it was, by this point in time, it was New Year's Eve. I remember going in. It took forever in the ER because it's New Year's Eve. I think there was a bad accident that night because there were a lot of people in there, young people crying. Something had happened. But anyways, they say, well, we're gonna have to get MRIs of your head, neck, back, legs, both with and without contrast. So if any of you guys have ever had MRIs with and without contrast, it takes a while. So I remember New Year's morning, for 3 or 4 hours straight, I was in the MRI machine getting everything scanned. And in the middle of the night, so they do that. And I remember then finally getting the doctors to come and read to me what it was. And that's when they told me it was MS. At first I thought it was something else. I think I was even told it was a brain tumor at first. But after they kind of narrowed it down, they found out that it was, 2 lesions in my brain. They thought it was MS. Couldn't be diagnosed with it. For those of you that don't have MS, you have to have 2 events. There's certain criteria, and I think now you don't even have to have 2 events. But if you fit into this criteria, you can be diagnosed with MS because they have to rule everything out first. So I was diagnosed with CIS, which is clinically isolated symptom. But my neurologist let me start on medication because I wanted to start early. I had read that the earlier you start, the better off you usually are. Now, keep in mind, and if you're a doctor and you're reading this, or you're watching this, I guess, the hospitals did a terrible job at explaining to me and preparing me for what MS is. Okay? So let me tell you, I've only known of one person that had MS in my life, and it was a guy who had it really bad and passed away from complications due to MS. So in my head, I automatically went to his last bit of where he was in a wheelchair, not able to move, only using his mouth, and that's where I thought I was going to be in a year. So devastation hits. So doctors, the neurologist I see now does a great job of taking care of this. But I hear all over these message boards, forums, newly diagnosed. If you're newly diagnosed and your doctor and no one has given you a good idea of what could happen or what you should expect, shame on them, because they need to tell you. And through this channel is a big reason why I started this. Obviously there's the weight loss aspect, but today we're kind of talking about my MS story and a little bit about the weight stuff. But through this channel, you know, I kind of want to help be that voice for you and kind of let you know what I've been going through. I'm 4 years in now. I'm still kind of considered newly diagnosed, but we'll keep going with this. So, anyways, I was told it was MS. The neurologist came in, did his rounds. I went and saw him in his office a week later. He started me on a drug called Copaxone. Hated that drug. Let me tell you why. I chose it because it had the least amount of side effects. It's called an ABC drug, and it's also called a first line drug. And what does that mean when it's a first line drug? It means that those are usually the ones newly diagnosed people get the option of using. That's if your neurologist believes in an escalation therapy model. I don't agree with that. Escalation therapy model basically means we will give you the less effective, less side effect drug. I guess I should say less effective, because for some people it works wonders for. But the least side effects until you get worse, and then we'll bump it up. My current neurologist believes the opposite. I'm going to give you the most powerful, keep you from getting worse, and try to stop any type of disability. First Neuro didn't believe that. And that's the safe way to play it with a lot of people. Don't agree with it though, because I don't agree with it. Because the whole point of taking medicine is to stop you from getting worse. So why would you want to wait until you get worse to start taking it? It doesn't make sense to me. And I get there's tons of you out there that aren't taking medications and are doing great. But there are a lot that started doing that and got worse. And there are a lot of you that are eating clean, doing the Walls protocol, the Swank diet, all the other things that are out there, and you're doing great. But there are a lot of people that alone doesn't work well for. So anyways, I'll get off my soapbox. Started with Copaxone, injected. I did that for 18 months, and I had an allergic reaction. Got incredible chills all through my body and couldn't stop, and my mouth was chattering. It was terrible. You have to inject it every day. I started off every day, then I went 3 times a week. So you have this auto injector, this plastic tube that spring loaded. You throw a needle in there, you jab it in your arm, you hit a button, and it shoots into your arm. That kind of sucks. It helps people with injecting that can't put a needle in themselves. I started self-injecting, and it took away the pain, most of it. I still had site reactions, but I didn't have that burning sensation for those of you on Copaxone that you know about. I will say that after a while, I started getting worried because the sites were very sore, and my legs are still sore 2.5 years later from those injections. So it's just something to be aware of. Also, on top of it, I was prescribed Plegridy after Copaxone, and Plegridy is basically a form of Avonex. It's a new form. Instead of taking, I think Avonex is every 3 days or 3 times a week, maybe 2. Plegridy is once a week, which is cool. I mean, that's awesome. Once a week, much less, but still a needle, still being injected. You get the flu-like symptoms. So with Plegridy, I didn't really have that many symptoms. Okay, so people talk about flu-like symptoms. I had the issue to where if I didn't drink tons of water, as well as pineapple juice, I believe. I'm trying to remember. Pineapple juice was a big one. If I didn't drink water, about 18 hours after my injection, I would get dizzy for about 4 hours. And it happened every time, I swear. That was my only side effect. So it was manageable, it was whatever. Still, it's not, not the greatest drug. My liver enzymes, they were being monitored by my previous neurologist. Well, he wasn't actually monitoring them because they became twice the limit of what your liver enzymes should be. So I went to a new neurologist. and see Dr. Boster over at the MS clinic at the Riverside Neurology building, or whatever you want to call it. And guy's amazing. I mean, I'm just going to throw that out there. Can't even tell you how lucky I am to be that close to this hospital. Went there, took me off the drug immediately. I was off any MS drug for 2 months. I was deciding between Tysabri or Lemtrada. And I'll do another video on medications for MS because I researched this stuff a lot when I was having to make my decision last year on a new medication. I'm currently taking Tysabri. It's monthly infusions. But during this whole time period, though, you know, hang on one second, thirsty. This is Diet Pepsi. Before you judge me, I'm going to make a video on Diet Pop, soda, whatever you want to call it, and talk about whether or not this is really bad for you. But that's besides the point. So, during this time, being diagnosed, your mind plays tricks on you. Every little thing that happened to my body after my diagnosis made me stop and think, is this MS? What's going on? Something about to happen? See, a lot of people get optic neuritis as their first symptom. It messes with your eyes. People can go blurry for weeks. You can lose your eyesight completely. Usually it's in one eye, not both. But still, it's like, it's freaky stuff. You know, I've heard of people who in a couple hours can't walk. A couple hours lose their arm strength, you know. So every time something would happen, I get a twitch in my hand. Oh no, here comes something. Well, we all know that for it to be a MS symptom, it has to last for at least 24 hours, a new MS symptom. So every little time something would happen, I'd freak out. My toe would twitch. I'll tell you what, the worst thing ever in the world, if your first symptom is tingling and numbness, the first time you sleep on your arm the wrong way and you wake up and your arm's numb, you will freak out. Even today, to this day, 4 years later, if I wake up and a body part of mine is tingling, I get up immediately and start shaking it, trying to wake it up. Because I don't know. You know, it goes. My mind goes back to that, oh my gosh, is this MS? And it's a complete mind screw, I guess is the best word to say. Because your mind is constantly being messed with, and you notice every little thing about your body. Things you've never noticed before, you're like, oh, that's new. But it's probably not new. It's probably something you've always done. So that's one of the biggest things. And it's a struggle because when I was first diagnosed, I remember sitting in the hospital bed, my parents next to me, my sisters next to me, and I remember saying, oh my gosh, my life is over. My life is over. I'm never going to get married. I'm never going to have a kid. I'm going to have to quit my job, and I'm going to live my late 20s, early 30s in a nursing home. And now looking back, I'm like, wow, man, that was so dramatic. But two things. One, I don't feel like the hospitals, the doctor, I mean, maybe it's not the hospital's job. Maybe that's what the neurologist who I was seeing, that's his job. But I left that hospital not knowing, like, what the heck's going to go on. And of course, they can never tell you, like, how your MS is going to be. It's different for everyone. Like, I could go the rest of my life and never have another attack again. What happened, MS? Where are you? But then I could go and have 6 in a month, 6 attacks, and, you know. And there are people that I've seen, and my heart breaks for these young people that get diagnosed with MS so early. High schoolers. I've seen middle schoolers. Like, it breaks my heart. Some of these first attacks, people don't fully recover from. I luckily recovered fully from mine over a period of about 6 weeks. But during this whole time, my mind's telling me, oh no, what's this? What's that? Is this another attack? But I remember saying, you know, I'm never going to get married, never going to have kids, I'm going to lose my job. So for those of you that are newly diagnosed with MS, or let's say you've been diagnosed in the last couple of years, after that happened, and I'm a strong Christian, My faith is never been tested, but never been strengthened like going through a bout with MS. I can say that 100%. But after saying all that about my life, you know, I'm never gonna get married, never gonna do this, never do that. Started talking to a girl that week. Started dating her the next week. Got serious. Proposed. Got married. Had a kid. Had 2 work promotions. Had another kid. Got another better job. And I'm fully recovered from any symptoms. Now, I know any day this could change, but MS is not a death sentence. It really isn't. Now, there's some of you that are out there that are maybe not as fortunate as I was, that are sitting there thinking, you know, what about me? Or it's easier for you to say you fully recovered, or blah, 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 something, you know, and that's true. And if you are out there and you are in a bad spot, I hope and I wish and I pray the best for you, because we all know this disease is terrible. And if you aren't having the physical symptoms of MS or the cognitive symptoms, you're having just the mental instability of anxiety that comes from this disease. So I wish everyone the best. I kind of gave up a bit, I'm not gonna lie. And over those those first 2.5 years, I gained a lot of weight. I gained probably a good 75, 80 pounds. And some of you may not notice that if you see me a lot. But yeah, I gained a lot of weight. Went up 2 shirt sizes. And as I spend time with my new neurologist, he always asks, are you 4 for 4? Well, what does that mean, right? What the heck's 4 to 4? He says, take a therapy, exercise, quit smoking if you smoke, and if you're overweight, lose weight. So there are a lot of studies out there that show if you smoke, it significantly increases your progression. If you're obese or overweight, it significantly increases your progression. If you exercise, a lot of times people, I've seen tons of people online that had a really bad symptom. They started exercising and they recovered from it faster. It also, a stronger core means if you do get affected, you'll be able to still move around a little bit. But in getting on therapy, obviously the trends are showing the sooner you're on a therapy after diagnosis. I mean, what? Don't quote me on this because I didn't research this. It's off the top of my head. But I think like in like 2001 or 2004, something along those lines, there was only like 1 or 2 drugs. Now there's like 18 or 19 or something like that. And each one gets better and better. They're working on, you know, myelin repair and stem cells and, you know, all that stuff. So there's hope. There really is. But anyways, I just wanted to give my background on this and what I know about it. And why I'm making this YouTube channel, why I'm doing this, because I have weight to lose. Because I don't want this disease to progress any faster than it's going to. Right now, I'm in a good place. My Tysabri's working. I haven't had any MRI progression in 2.5 years. I have a really good neurologist, Dr. Boster, at the Riverside MS Clinic. Got a great wife, kids. You know, anything can kill us in this life. Heart attacks, cancer, walking down the street, getting shot, getting hit by a car accident. MS, while it's a diagnosis and it's a setback a little bit, it's not going to let it affect me and ruin my life just because it's there. So in conclusion, there's going to be tons more videos coming out. We're going to really dive into this thing. I hope we can kind of become a little bit of an MS family. like I said, if you don't have MS, we're going to be talking hard about keto, working out, getting healthy as well. So, stick around for that. But hit subscribe if you want to know when I post new videos. They'll probably be, I'm hoping to have 3 or 4 short videos coming out over the next couple days. We're going to talk about Diet Pop, the keto diet, why I chose it, what kind of food I'm eating, and then dig into more from there. So, and we'll talk a little bit more about MS too. I want to get into medications and some studies that are out there. My doctor, he has a Twitter, Facebook. They always are posting information. So a lot of good knowledge out there, but just keep up on it. I'll keep praying for you guys and hope for the best. Have a good day. Thanks.